jerk ass. You have jerk ass in there. You have, you could add in sloppy or uncoordinated or just drunk.
Well, you're doing the aspects of the animal itself, the way its attributes are in real life, correct?
Yes.
You throw that out there. The
Yes.
honey butter thing.
Way to read into my notes here.
Oh.
Frickin'. And yeah, of course, you can definitely take traits of the animal himself. I mean, Squeaky is, he's a prey species. He's also a very small prey species. He's usually the first to be eaten on anyone's list. Come on in, there are many seats. You can even walk down the center aisle. It's perfectly okay. It is perfectly okay for you guys to do that. So Squeaky is, he can be very, very bouncy, very skittish because he's a rat. He's very snarky because he is, he's a prey species for everyone. He knows he'll probably get eaten, so why not just go out with a bang? And that's pretty much it. Once you have those ideas in mind and you have some kind of motivation, it solidifies the idea of what your character is inside of you immediately. You're good to go from that point. So you order your suit. You finally collect the money and you go out and you go to your hobby shop and you buy all the stuff and you slave away for a good year crying every night because you're not sleeping or eating at all to make this suit. Or you decided to tap into your life savings and sell your house and go commission a fursuiter and get your own fursuit. And you wait another 8 to 10 months. And then you get your suit, and you put it on, and what happens? What happens, guys? What happens when you put on your suit for the very first time?
Your parents throw you out.
Yes. But something happens. A show of hands again, who does not have a suit but wants one? Okay, so this is what happens. You have a new body. Step 2, find your new body. First step was finding your character's motivation. Step 2, when you have your suit, is you're finding your new body because you do not have the same body shape. Right now, you all are all comfortable with, if you see a glass, you're able to pick up the glass. If you, in a car, you can drive the car. You can perform your daily tasks. Great, because you understand hand-eye coordination and all that. When you get in a fursuit, things get pretty different real quick. Well, first off, you're in a carpet suit, so you're dying constantly. You're approaching death much quicker than everyone else in the room. But you're also larger than you once were. And there are a lot of suits now that have different layers of padding. I'm seeing I believe it's a husky back here, or canid. I just call every friggin' dog, wolf, husky, just a canid now. It's like, hi, canid. We have the saber over here with the very large paws and the digitigrade legs, right? We have the crux over here with the large ears, so there's a lot of head space there. The large tail going every which direction. So there's a lot that you need to get used to in your new body, and you can screw up a lot. I mean, these are relatively small feet. I'm gonna dislodge one of these guys. So it's relatively, you can't even bend the mic cord on this, wow. So, I mean, it's a relatively small foot compared. I mean, granted, this suit is 8 years old. Now they're making giant everything, giant feet paws, giant haunches, but I mean, that's where the shoe sits, so there's not much there. But I know for a fact that the first time I put on this suit, I tripped and fell in my living room because I wasn't used, I was used to walking very, very small, very inline footsteps just for whatever reason. And I stepped on one of the toes, I just stepped on one of the toes with my heel and almost wiped out that way. So you have to get used to basically finding your new body shape and getting used to the idea of reaching for a glass, especially now that everyone is haphazardly drunk at conventions and a lot of people are designing their fursuits so that they can easily drink a bottle of beer while in it, right? You need to develop new hand-eye coordination because the first time you'll just be like this, trying to reach for something. So finding that is a good idea. I did want to swap out some people here. If you can return definitely to your line. Thank you, Mr. AA. Stop stepping on my shit. I want Kitty. I want my Saber. All right, Saber. So, this guy, known on his con badge as JH. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay. So when you first put this on, what issues did you have, like right out the box?
Right out the box. Well, I just put it on like 10 minutes ago because I just barely got it.
Oh, really?
And so I mean, it was a little stiff the first time putting it on, but it worked out all right.
Okay, so we've got the whole giant ass feet here with Digigrade. Did you have to alter anything in the way you keep your stance or walk around because of, you know, such large padding?
Oh, there's somebody there. There's somebody there. A little bit. Like, I mean, especially when you're going like down the stairs or up the stairs, you don't want to mess up like the claws on your paws or whatever, so you're careful with where you step and things like that.
So I've noticed here you're also adopting, as you can see here, I mean, I'm pretty much standing normally right now. I'm not using any kind of stance for my character. This is more like, you know, I'm more gated. I have more of a gated walk here, but you can tell like there's a very clear difference between how I'm just standing like a normal person would and how in character Mr. Saber here is standing. Pretty much you end up, for the most part, a lot of people end up with a wider gait when they're walking around. Some kind of wider gait or something to adjust for the larger feet. A lot of people will turn their feet out just a bit so that they avoid stepping on the inner toes. A lot of people will take a really wider gait. I know for a fact that stop it. Stop. Work. Damn it. Stop. Fuck it. Here, make it work. You're a good guy. No guarantees. I can still be loud. I can be loud. That's why I brought water in the room. Actually, I want to go back for a second. Eyes. Eyes are the most fun. A favorite thing that they like to do in the first time at a fursuiting con panel is test fursuiter vision. They will always bring up a fursuit on stage and put the hands on either side and go in until their field of vision is set. Because your field of vision is pretty bad. You usually have a blind spot about the size of your palm. You just stick your palm on your nose, and that's pretty much a good blind spot for what you have in fursuiting. You use, that's an average. Some people have larger, some people have smaller. But you lose that much, and you pretty much go into binocular vision where you lose your peripheral vision completely. Squeaky, if you do this, go out to about here, and that's what, about an inch forward, and that's what I had trying on the suit for the first time, and I realized, oh wait, I can't even see. I can't even see anyone in front of me, anyone I'm talking to. So, and you'll see a lot of first-time suitors do this, is that they're always like looking kind of like one direction, like they're looking at the side of their face for some reason, and that's because you can't see. You have to see kind of off to an angle. How I developed his kind of loose, fluid bounciness is that I took that, and I'm like, well, that's gonna look weird if I'm just looking at someone like this all day, and I'm gonna switch between the eyes. And then it became looser and looser, and my feet got bouncier because I'm swaying my body back and forth. And then it just became this kind of like, oh, hey, buddy, how you doing? Like, you know, this kind of like loose, goofy walk from Disney kind of thing where you're just, you know, you've got the heavy feet and you're stomping down and you're kind of looking back and forth just a bit, that it looks natural enough. And now it's at the point where I can basically just walk, like I can take a quick glance at this aisle and I can see, oh, there's no debris, and I can just look straight ahead and go. And you gain that after many, many, many moons of practice walking around in the suit. Hi, Sprocket, you're a dog. You're a dog.
Please.
You have ticks. Did you get all your vaccinations before you got here from Canada? Exactly. Sadly, I don't have Spork here right now. I wasn't able to grab his head. He's actually busy running our programming department, so yay! But his suit Mannheim, the Space Goat, which you may have seen around this con last night, it's a big blue and white goat with these massive black vinyl horns. The vision on that suit is almost entirely peripheral on that thing. It's just out to the side. But because he has, so he's got to definitely turn his head and look, and instead of just, you know, looking out to the side, it's a goat, right? It's prey. The Talbot is from World of Warcraft, and it's considered a prey species in the game as well, I'm assuming. That's what he told me. And with that, it's very much, he's giving that kind of cockeyed, like deer look, but also when he cocks his head to the side, most of the time he's like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? So it gives this kind of pronounced attitude to the character that he uses, because he'll headbutt you too, which is great. So your vision, how you see things, and how your body fits, like whether you have large padding. I mean, this is just, this is from 8 years ago. It's a jumpsuit style suit, where it's literally just a jumpsuit pattern, pretty much. All those things will factor in and affect how your performance develops. So 1, you've got your character motivation. 2, you've got your new body shape. 3, things might actually change with how your body works. That's the third thing, is putting those two together. I know with Squeaky here, I wanted him to be a more positive, more bouncy character. 8 years ago, we didn't have as much public drunkenness or debauchery as we did now. I think Prowl can attest to that. When you were the party guy, like, the dances were not, oh, thank you. The dances were not the powerhouses of debauchery that they are now. They were actually much simpler affairs, where we would listen to The Bad Touch and Hungry Like the Wolf. And people would be drinking a lot of Red Bulls and soda at night instead of Jack Daniels. So he was originally envisioned as a very fun, bouncy character who really liked soda and took piggybacks. He was infamous in 2009 from getting piggybacks from every single person he could at a convention, and that was kind of his shtick. He was this really fun, kind of bouncy character, but I had to adjust that. I had to adjust the level of ferocity. Like, there's some people out there that are just like wild cannons, and they're yelling and screaming and flailing about all the time. He was originally kind of envisioned as that, but when I developed that kind of walk, that kind of loose kind of saunter that he has for a walk, he mellowed out as a character, right? He mellowed out, he changed a bit, and went from there, really. Your character may not make the full transition from what you had on paper or in your head to the final product, and that is fine. Like, your vision of what the suit is will change once you get into the suit. Out of the suitors that are here in the room, did that happen for you? Did something change? I want to see a show of hands. It's easier than nods. Yes. I'd like to know, for Mr. Crux, what changed for you? You don't talk? No? You crazy? I want Rocco. Come here, Rocco. Come here, Rocco. So let's be Mr. Honest here. What actually changed for you through that whole process, from the paper to getting the suit to being like, oh, well, maybe I want to try something different?
You never know. There's just no way until you get the suit on, until you start interacting with people, until you actually figure out, like, oh, that doesn't work. This will work. That's kind of how I went from there.
What's one thing specifically for you that you noticed?
For me?
Yeah.
Putting this one on, or like my normal suit?
That one.
This one. It's very baggy. So when I walk, I have to kind of do this. The vision in this one's much better than the vision in my old head, so I can actually see everybody a lot more, so I'm not bobbing my head as much. Also, the hand paws, I can't grip anything with these things.
So, I take it you don't really, guzzle alcohol at night, or do you have to get assistance for that, or what's going on?
Well, in this suit, if I'm going to guzzle alcohol, I mean, I can pick a beer bottle, that's not a problem. That's like Furry 101, you learn how to grab a beer bottle first. But I mean, like I said, with this suit, it's this hyena suit over here. I haven't worn it very much.
Gotcha. Let's go to the hand paw here. Dexterity, you mentioned you're not really dexterous, so was there anything you really wanted to do with your hands that you found out you really couldn't?
Picking anything up, it's like a double-handed affair. You just kind of like just doing that. Versus with my other paws, you can like just pick it up like if it was your normal hand, just working the glove.
Gotcha. Squeaky, I want to actually. So these have very fat fingers. So and my fingers only go about halfway up. That's where you can see this kind of like gray mark of halfway up. It stops about halfway up because that's where my fingers end. The fingers just keep going with foam at that point, but over the last few years I've learned how to even operate touchscreen phones with these kind of like giant hands. The whiskers on the front, you'll notice a lot of these suits don't actually have whiskers, and there's a reason for that, because when people started doing that, a lot of them would use fishing line or something, like Mr. Saber here. They're starting to come back in vogue. This guy has weed whacker lines, and they don't feel good against the face. I had to, when you normally go to hug someone, you don't really cock your neck too much. You just like hug, right? You just want to get out of the way of their face. It's a lot of European cultures, they do the kiss on the cheek, so it's not a problem that the other face touches yours. This guy, I have to duck way out the way. Like I have to go so I don't scratch their face. The second time I actually hugged someone at a con, I took a guy's glasses straight off his face. Just because, there's Mannheim. Come up here, Mannheim. A round of applause for Mannheim. There he is. Okay, Mannheim is one of those big examples I wanted to use because I told you about the headbutting. Okay, first off, that is a massive, if you want to rotate your head slowly, that is a massive blind spot there. You can see it's about almost 2 inches thick. You can rotate the other way. Good Lord, my husband. Okay, horns, they're massive. They have weight to them. A lot of these things will have weight, some kind of weight to them. Thankfully, this is just polyfill with some vinyl in it, so it's not that bad. It still stings a bit after a while. Large hooves. These hooves are actually pretty huge. There is a clog in the bottom of them, just glued in the bottom. The thing is wider than a foot in every direction. And the tail, if you can turn sideways or just behind, there is a tail that sticks out quite a bit. It's an irregularly shaped tail because it just goes straight down. It just curves down rather than curving up or anything. So just to catch Spork up to speed here, so we basically talked about how, I'm just basically asking how things have changed between your idea of what you had of the character and how that changed when you put on the suit and realized, oh hey, I can't do this, or I can do this. So just...
Hello.
Actually, I did not have an idea with this character. This was kind of like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I guess that's another problem you gotta realize. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna go for it, go do this crazy tail, these horns, and this stuff, like whatever. I just wanna try it out and see what's going on. I didn't really think it out. So, luckily I just had to go with the flow, and I'm good at that. So that's one thing if you're just doing that off the cuff, or if someone gifts you a suit, or if you buy one off.
I was gonna say, if you see an auction and you're like, I need to spend this $10,000 this second on this like wildlife fursuit.
Yeah, basically that. You're gonna have to keep that in mind. We're like, oh, I could go suit and I can do this, and I don't have to worry about like, low fire sprinkler heads, which I totally have to worry about all the time. So just keep that in mind. That yes, when you're getting it, you will be taller and wider and all these different shapes and things sticking out that like to catch on many things.
Thank you. I'm gonna send you two guys back because I love you, but thank you for coming up here. You're just disease, you don't get hugs. Oh, it's a ring finger, it's so cute. Oh my God, he actually, oh God. He does have tics. Jesus. Other things, very recent other things. You'll notice when Prowl was talking earlier, he had an accent. Do you know what that's called in the industry? Acting. Acting is a thing. Acting always happens, and there are some characters out there that choose to speak. I know there was a lot of back and forth debate in fursuiting world over the last 10 years or so about whether it was kosher to speak in a fursuit or not. A lot of old school people were like, no, don't do it, follow the mascotting rules, your character will speak for itself, especially if you loan your fursuit out and you have a distinctive voice to your suit. Just having the character be a complete mute means anyone can play it, and you know they can go out there and do whatever. And there are some people who are just like, well, it's just me in the suit, and it's a character of me. Why can't I just talk? Right? There was a lot of kind of covert back and forth, and I think the answer is summed up now as you do what you want. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If it works for your character, just do it. Just freaking do it. I know there are a couple people in this room who did not like to have a speaking character, then they developed a speaking character, and they liked it. I'm one of those people, and I have one here, and I'd like to know what motivated you to actually have Prowl be a speaking character, as opposed to some of your other characters.
So when I came into this, it was basically through watching mascots on television. If you watch mascots for any length of time, you'll notice pretty much none of them talk. It's kind of just a standard rule. And I was excited about the prospect of trying to do something interesting, like trying to communicate through not speaking. Initially, it's very challenging, but the thing that's strange about it is, once you get used to doing that for a number of years, the difficulty becomes speaking in suit, because you're just not used to it. So now I have a speaking character. By the way, I'm not doing the voice anymore right now. That's great, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that's difficult is when you go around and you talk to people, my first instinct is not to speak to them, because I've gotten used to that over a period of time. And when you have to start talking to them, it's much more difficult. So I think the reason why I wanted to have a speaking character is because, first of all, it is more prevalent now than it's ever been before, but also because a lot of people don't have the patience to work out when you're trying to communicate through charades and give them all that stuff. It's very rewarding if they have the patience, but a lot of people just don't. And you're missing out on the ability to communicate with people if you don't take that step. And you can do a lot of fun things with the character too. You can create a new voice. You can do a lot of things. And I think that if you have an open mind about it, and the one point I want to make about a speaking character is, I think it's important to not just treat this like, if I say 500 things per minute, I'm bound to be great. It's very tempting to just talk all the time, because you get nervous and you don't know what to say, so you just say everything you think of. You have no more filters anymore. And I think that you have to think about it. Is that right for your character? And when you think about that, I think it will help you to sort of just, don't always just talk incessantly, unless it's part of your character. But I'll stop now, because you're trying to tell me something.
Yes. So, very, very good point about talking in suit. I mentioned a lot of people were like, well, it's just my character, I just want to talk, what's wrong with that? Well, a lot of people you'll see when they're suiting and just talking with people, they're talking and standing regularly. They're not engaged in some kind of way. Like when I've been talking for most of this, you see me kind of gesticulating with my other hand, or switching hands, or doing something else while I'm doing that, right? There are many fursuits out there that they may have great suits, but they're just standing there and they're just, like, they'll just be standing and just talking to a friend, like, hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on? Your emotions definitely play into that, and if you are a talking character, or if you're just talking with friends and whatnot, it still helps to gesticulate and be a bit larger than life, just to complete the look of it, right? I mean, there have been plenty of cartoon characters out there who do speak, but they're still very large and very animated. There's been several characters that don't speak and are just as animated and performance-based as others. Like our good friend Sprocket over here, who's been terrible all day. You brought the ticks in the room. Right, and he can still communicate and get any kind of message across, right, without having to speak. And again, with this guy, the point that Carl brought up about language is that you eventually will develop your own language. You may develop an accent, you may develop a voice. Squeaky has a voice that's a little more high-pitched. So not only that, but it kind of evolved in a bit of a Jersey accent. I mean, this guy's a complete mook over here. Full of cabbage and ticks. So, your voice will definitely, you'll develop some kind of persona along with the voice. He's got more of a kind of Jersey thing. I kept this suit secret for a few years just because I thought it would be funny. But I actually own the Master Splinter fursuit that you may have seen here on previous years. You may have seen of ASEN, FCN, a few cons around. And I took Mako's voice from the animated 2003 TMNT movie because he's an actual Japanese person. The other guys who have played him are either Korean American or just plain American. But his voice is much more of a challenge. I need to drink a lot of honey and ginger after doing this. Honey ginger tea, it helps out a lot. Performing a voice can be taxing, and you want to, especially because you have to project outside of the fursuit head. You notice I've been at a much larger volume than anyone I've really handed the mic to unless they can really shove it down the muzzle of their suit. You have to project. You're going to be loud. You want to be concise with your words, much like you're concise with whatever you're pantomiming. You have to be concise with your choice of words. And doing both at the same time, that is your choice. If you want to talk, if you don't want to talk, that's completely up to you. Wait, do that again? There we go. I am blanking on the last thing that I wanted to bring up right now. I wanted to turn things a bit to the floor and ask if anyone had any current questions from myself or any of the people up here. Yes?
What would be a good way to deal with glasses? Because I'm like almost legally blind without my glasses. So.
Yes, you.
Actually, I do wear glasses under my fursuit. Basically, so I just kind of got lucky, but one way you can do it if you have a fursuit is you can just cut a little bit. You don't need to cut a whole lot to get glasses. And there's, so just do this.
See, the glasses in there.
So yeah, got my glasses. Basically, the only way I can get them on.
You can come up here, by the way, if you want.
I'll do that.
That way you can hold a microphone at your face.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, I wear glasses on my fursuit. Basically, I just got, like I said before, I got really lucky and I didn't need to really do a whole lot of cutting, but to get glasses to fit in here, I just had to cut just a little bit off the nose and just a little bit off the side here, obviously. And then basically, the way I put them on is I can kind of do it if it's my face already, but they usually have to do this. I have to kind of put the head on first, slip the glasses through the mouth, and then just kind of adjust into place. So, basically. Like that.
Some suits you can actually open the jaw the full way like that.
Okay. Obviously, it's a lot easier with my jaw because it can move, but that's kind of one way to do it. Otherwise, just kind of like get your face through the neck hole and just kind of pull it down backwards as well. That's another way to do it. But because, like I said, this mouth opens up so wide, I can just go ahead and shove my glasses in just like that, and then just kind of adjust it to where I did a little bit of cutting, and then just fits in there just nicely. It does fog up, which that will happen being in a really hot, sweaty suit. But you can get like defogging stuff that usually helps a little bit. Just kind of coat your glasses, wipe it off, and you should be good to go. Otherwise, just kind of go to the headless lounge, and when you go there, just wipe off the sweat. That also works, obviously.
There are fursuit makers that will build space in the head for your glasses or any other thing that you have. So you can definitely ask the maker when you go to have things made, like, hey, I wear glasses, I have some kind of prescription, I have a size. They'll usually ask you for a size or to take additional measurements of your head with them on and with them off, or something like that, just so they can give you enough space for it. And yeah, if there isn't enough space, you can definitely carve out little niches of foam in there so that there is more space. I did actually want to mention, now that you got me thinking about it, disabilities in fursuit. There's a small section of fursuiters who do have some kind of physical or mental impairment, and they still perform great. There are deaf performers out here. There are performers who have some kind of physical limitation that requires them to use an aid for that, and you can totally build that into your character and into some kind of story that you can tell with that. I mean, obviously I'm fine, but I still actually use the cane with Splinter because I'm down like this, and it really destroys my knees. So I bought the cane because it's it's part of Master Splinter's thing. I'll just use it as a prop. I won't actually walk with it. And then I found out I actually needed the cane because it destroyed my legs walking around all the time, and I had to do it that way. But there's plenty of people who may have some kind of impairment like that, and you really can work it in and still come off with some kind of great performance out there. I mean, Brad Hound is one guy I can think of who is legally deaf, I believe, and he has been going on for how many years now? Like, obviously more than a decade, but he is still a great crowd pleaser, and he's having fun. I think he's here, and he's just been running around in fursuits all day, and just as much as the other people. I think I covered what you were gonna say? Yeah. There was a hand over somewhere here, I think. No, anyone else? Any other questions, concerns about performances? Yes?
I want to go up there.
Okay, come up here. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, Glasses Cat. I'm assuming you're a cat. Yes.
Okay, so this is my first convention. What is the rule for taking off your head in front of people? Do you typically try to do that privately, or what do you do with that? 'Cause
Good, actually, very good question. What to do with your head? This was also hotly debated during the should we talk or not. And basically, if you want to keep in character, there are several people who do want to keep in character all the time, and that's fine. That's completely fine. There are people who don't care, and that's fine as well. A lot of furry conventions will keep their own kind of green room or a separate space for people to take off their heads and get refreshments or whatnot. There will be times where you feel like being a hero. This is very common with new suits. Don't be a hero. Do not be a hero. Don't think that just because you got your suit and you're used to it after wearing it for a good half hour, and you want to show all your friends, please don't wear the suit for longer than you can stand, because heat stroke sets in and you will die. So if there's an emergency situation, you want to pop that head, you're not feeling too hot, you're feeling queasy, pop that head. There's plenty of people, I mean, I've got it popped right now because I would die in this room if I kept it on. But yeah, definitely, there are situations where you're gonna, in an emergency or whatnot, or if you're just not feeling right, well, you'll want to take the hands off, the head off, or whatnot. There's always the emergency situations, God forbid, if a fire alarm goes off again this year, that it's best to probably take that stuff off, just so you can get your bearings. There were a lot of older fursuit tips, especially because a lot of these big shoes and whatnot might not fit too well on a staircase. In that case, you can definitely push in, like as soon as you step down, slide in, or even kick the stair in front of you so you know most of your foot is on the stair. Or turn your foot to the side of it. Some people I've seen with really big suits sidestep up the stairs, one stair at a time. It's happened. Use the railing. Always use the railing. The Disney method, one of the, what? Doors. Oh, elevators. Yes. People, tails, keep out for tails. This guy, I went to an ice skating rink, and this guy rolled over a bunch of times by other skaters. Ears, they'll catch on things. There's a couple of very, very tall fursuiters out there that you may have seen today. They have troubles with doors, with sprinklers and whatnot. Crap, I just had it in my head and you made me forget what I was going to say. Friggin' thing.
you're talking about a Disney method?
Yes, grabbing the railing, not like this, overhand, but grabbing it underhand. And the reasoning that they do that is that if you're going down a railing and you manage to slip down a stair, it's very easy if you're overhand to let go and actually fall down. If you're underhand, you will fall into the railing and not fall down the entire flight of steps. So that's something that got passed down from some of the performers who have worked at Disney, is to just grab the underside of the railing and go that way. If you can't grab the underside of the railing, best of luck with that. You will learn your fursuit pause very, very quickly. There's the indoor-outdoor pause. The indoor pause are basically like just bottoms. They just have the paw prints on the bottom and whatnot. Outdoor paws are the ones that have the traction on them. They usually, like that guy right there. Nice big traction pad. You won't slip around. There are some people who even have, there have been a couple people I think that have had cleats or something as part of it, or have just opened up the bottom to have their actual shoe stick out because, like, who cares, whatever. Sorry, did I cover what you were gonna say or something? I hope that answered your question, by the way, about pulling parts off.
Yep.
One thing that I had to do once was actually, there was another convention here and we also had a fire alarm, and I had to, because I was performing as their mascot, I had to pull everything off. Like I couldn't direct traffic or anything because they're all friggin' kids and they're all coked up on Red Bull about to go into the dance, and they're all like, you know, they're like, oh, let's high five the cute critter and whatnot. So I have to like pull everything off and like get everyone out of the building. So like there's gonna be times when you have to pull that crap off, pretty much. Where am I on time? I have 15 minutes. Hi, yes, did you have a question? What is your question, Mr. Prowl?
It's not really a question, but I wanted to know that we're at a panel called Intro to Fursuiting, and the whole point of Fursuiting really is to enjoy yourself and decide what's right for you, because I feel like over the last 10 years that's changed a lot in what was done originally and what's done now. So I mean, really, all of you sitting here right now, you should really just spend time with your character, you know. And what do you enjoy about other? Thank you. What do you enjoy about other characters that you see that you're watching? I mean, what entertains you? What makes you go, wow, I really like that. I really want to emulate that. That'll help you sort of decide like how you want to be as a character. What does your character look like? Is he angry? Is he happy? There's so many things at your disposal that you can use, and all of these things will, over time, you know, gradually get better and better at it. So don't let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't do. That's for you to decide what you're getting out of it and what you want to bring to it. Even taking your head off in public, it really is, it's a decision that you have to make for yourself. And if you're somebody who is dedicated to character, you know, and you want to keep your head on, that's great, and that will reflect, you know, when you go perform. That's how people will see you. So just consider that when you're going around and you're performing, that, you know, you make the decisions. You can take video of yourself, you can have friends tell you what they think. All of these things are tools you can use to develop your character and decide, you know, how it's best for you, because in the end, it's important to remember, if you're not having fun, you're probably not doing it right.
There are some showpiece suits out there. There was about 15 minutes before this panel started, there was the whole staircase full of those really nice, really pretty, realistic ones. And yeah, you can still have a lot of fun and go crazy in those kind of suits too, but there are also suits that are kind of like showpiece suits, and there's beater suits like this guy, there's showpiece suits out there, there's kind of stuff in between. It's really how you want to treat your character, how you want to play it, how you want to perform it. And like Prowl said over here, if you're not having fun doing it in some way, I mean, your character could be, like, your character's motivation could be like some stoic, mystic badass, right? And you're always like you're standing tall and you're brooding and you're kind of looking down on people and stuff, and you could be having a freaking blast doing that crap. Like, I've done it before, and it's fun, it's antagonistic. There's great videos out there there's this one fantastic video, you have to look at this thing. Any videos of Disneyland, of the Queen from Snow White, because she is such a catty woman. She's not having it from anyone. Like, there'll be children crying, she's like, I would just stop it. Stop it now, that's not proper. And everyone just eats it up because she's so mean to everyone. It's amazing. It's so cool. There was actually one really great one where Snow White, she finds Snow White and Cinderella, and she's like, you two got me out here because there's this little girl, and I don't want to deal with this little girl. Why did you bring me here? And they're like, because, you know, we're all gonna have fun and be happy and fun together. And she's like, well, I don't want to even have any of that. What's with you? Why are you always happy? And she's just like drilling them on this shit in front of this like 5-year-old girl who's like just like in awe of just them being there. It's kind of like with the Gaston video that went around the internet recently of him doing one-handed push-ups in front of the other guy. Someone unfortunately challenged Gaston to a push-up contest, and Gaston beat his ass one-handed. You know, you can definitely go out there and be the big muscle fur. You can definitely be super stoic. You can be super bouncy. You can do whatever you want with it, and just really have fun with it. I actually brought. Remember when a few minutes ago when I forgot what I was going to talk about for a second? I was going to talk about some of the suits that we have around these days, and problems with those. Plush suits are a big thing now. Plush suits and heavily padded and heavily bodied suits are always a thing now. You can definitely play up. You can definitely play up body size, play up shapes. You can completely obscure the human shape. There's a lot of people who are into that, of just completely obscuring any kind of human form or shape to a suit. Those suits can actually get really challenging, especially quad suits. They have their own levels of difficulty with that. You're usually looking down at an angle on the ground for most of the time. Is anyone here actually interested in getting a quad suit?
What's a quad suit?
It's a suit where you are, sorry, I should have introduced with that, thank you. Fucking talking like everyone knows shit up here. A quad suit is a suit where you are on your hands and knees, or your hands and your feet, and it's basically you're walking like a complete animal. There are a couple that show up here. There's some manufacturers out there, such as Beast Cub, who create these kind of suits. A lot of them are done for cosplay reasons. There's been, there's been Wolf Link, there's been Epona, there's been Toothless the Dragons, a now very popular one to do. They present their own kind of weird challenges and whatnot. I don't actually have experience trying one of those suits, but I've seen the lengths that people have to go to actually perform in those, and they take massive, massive tolls on your body. Basically, going back to don't be a hero, don't push yourself too hard. Have fun, stay within the limits of what you can do, have fun with it, and yeah, I'm running out of dialogue. I am a bad person.
I'm just standing up, that's all.
Okay. I'm glad you could stand up. Let's have a round of applause for Sunny standing up. So, now that you have a suit, you have your suit, you've designed your character, you've thought of your character, you've done all that, you've got your suit, you've been in your suit for a while, you're having fun with it, and you want to go to the next level, and you're thinking, oh, there's a fur meet at a bowling alley, let's go to the bowling alley. Let's go to the bowling alley. Bowling alley sounds fun, right? Everyone loves bowling. Everyone loves sliding around in those horrible shoes and crossing the line and watching the little red light go off. Mark it zero. It is zero fun. There are more adventurous people who will think it's fun to go to a fair, like a street fair or a Renaissance fair. There are people who will go even further than that, and it can be problematic. Every situation you go into is different. This con is the safest place you'll ever go to. This con, any con, they're all the safest place to fursuit in because people know what to expect. They know exactly what a fursuiter is, what a furry is, what a costume, you can't see much, you can't talk much, you need a constant water intake, you need refreshment breaks. They understand that kind of thing. Going outside of that is different. And this is my very sneaky little transition into the second panel, Fursuiting Outside the Fandom. So, I'm gonna go down the list. This is kind of where I'm gonna start going straight into more anecdote mode. I'm just gonna go down the list from safest to probably not safest. Your next bet is an anime and Comic-Con. Who here goes to anime, Comic-Cons, gaming cons, all that kind of stuff? That's probably your next bet. A lot of the anime kids don't yell "yiff and hell" anymore at us because we have really great people like Beast Cub and Matrices and Fat Kraken who are also cosplayers and who provide tutorials for them. So they're all like, oh yeah, you guys are fine. You guys really know how to make your costumes, and now I can do my my Sosuke from Bleach or like all that kind of shit. Sorry if I got his name wrong. I actually stopped reading that series after the whole Aizen thing finished up. They're pretty cool. They're pretty understanding. A lot of them. I actually get a lot of people at anime cons that are like, that come up to me and they're like, oh yeah, I love furries. You guys are so cool. I go to MFF all the time because it's in the same. There's a very large anime con in the same hotel. ASEN, yeah. So they like us, or they're like, oh, I'm building my fursuit, I'm bringing a suit next year. You know, I'm always cosplaying as Master Splendor there, so there's a guy who was like, yeah, I made a turtle and I'll show you, and we'll go around hanging out together. There's a couple people at Youmacon who are like, we're building our own suits, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. After that, it starts getting a little tricky, because you have a problem. You have a problem. You are a large carpet suit shaped like an animal wandering around in public. For most people, that's called a mascot. And a mascot, the term for a mascot is a fictional character that is designed to promote a brand or product. That is very different from what a fursuiter is. A fursuiter is just, you know, a character. It's a cartoon character. It's the simplest way of putting it, but it's some kind of cartoon or fantasy character that you get to perform. Mascots are what most people think you are. There's been a lot of cities, there's been a lot of development, especially in major cities, where people know what furries are. There's Frolic out in the Bay Area, and that whole group that whole area kind of knows what furries are and what furries do. There's a lot of furries who end up in the parades. The city of Pittsburgh now knows what furries are because they held their fursuit parade out in public as an actual parade, which is cool, right? But there's a lot of places around the world where they will still see you as a mascot, and they still see you as just kind of advertising something. I know a few of the suitors here have had situations where you're just walking around in the park and some lady comes up with a kid and it's like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing here? And you're just like, oh, we're just hanging out. And they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. We're going over here now. Because you've suddenly entered a little unsafe box, right? If you're the friggin' Nesquik bunny, you're there selling Nesquik, right? They know exactly what you're doing, right? But if you're just some rando in a fursuit hanging out in the park, suddenly you're suspicious for some reason. Even though you may be like running around in the playground and all the kids are like, yeah, we love you, we're awesome. All the parents are like, what is this person doing? Like, you know, they're not the Nesquik bunny handing out the packets of cereal and giving high fives. There's some random person that's interacting with my kids and I don't like this. And it gets tricky. It can get tricky with that. Renaissance fairs, there's a lot of people with Renaissance fairs who do dress up their characters. Dragons, for some reason, are very popular at Renaissance fairs. I don't know why, but they are. There's many themed street fairs, there's many themed other things that are done, and yeah, they all kind of produce their own challenges because there's a lot of, hi Ruby, you're so small, I love you, you're so short. Call me. A lot of the outdoor places, like we have our headless lounge, we have our fans, we have our water, we have our bottle service for everyone. Anime cons are starting to get into this, Comic cons are starting to get into this, especially with a lot of the massive, elaborate stuff that are coming out there. Street fairs, Renaissance fairs, they won't have water for you. They won't have supplies. They won't have any kind of refreshments for you. Bowling alleys, any other places of business, they won't have that kind of stuff, and some of those places of business will not like you at all either. Malls are bad. Do not go into a mall in fursuit. They will remove you and they will ban you from that mall for any number of years as they see fit, because you have automatically caused an issue for them. And anytime you cause an issue in a public place, they don't want to have you back. But there are many places to go suiting. I've personally done a lot of bowling alleys. I've done roller rinks. I've done out in the parks. I have some friends who've done numerous crazy things, including going to concerts in full fursuit. I even have a friend who's gone out to Burning Man for several years in fursuit, and that's in the middle of a desert. First important tip for any of these places, stay hydrated. It's best if you can visit this place out of suit, or at least scope it out of suit first, so you know where your exits are, you know where you can go to a bathroom, you know where you can find a water bottle.
You know where your trip hazards are?
You know where all the trip hazards are. All those, you know, the 3 inches down at a bowling alley, like from just onto that hardwood, like it still kills people. There are still people who are used to this stuff and they will trip over that. I trip over that all the time. I actually almost dislodged my thumb once because I tripped over it. Fun. What other horrible things can I think of? 1, stay hydrated. 2, scope out your area. 3, have a handler. Who was at the handler panel earlier? I know you were. Me too. Handlers, if you need one, definitely. If you are unsure about a place, definitely have a handler. A handler is a buddy of yours who is out of suit, who is carrying your supplies, who has water or Gatorade or a snack or something for you, who can point out tripping hazards, who can, shoo children away or explain what you're doing in a public situation. They're also very useful. There was one time, Fan Expo is Toronto's Comic-Con. It's their own giant abyss of things. And there was one time where I was just walking around in a suit. I was there for a few hours, and suddenly I'm starting to sway around and kind of I'm starting to bump into people. I almost bumped into a display case, and he just grabbed my arm and said, "We're going to the bathroom now." We beelined to